Hi, Kelly here from freebiefindingmom.com, and thank you for joining me for another Friday session of Money Talk, where we get together on Fridays and usually go over a couple of the more popular finance or money-related questions that you've had here on the Freebie Finding Mom Facebook page. So before I get started, if you will, please give this video a like or a heart. I would appreciate it, and share it to your Facebook page if you find the content helpful for you. All right, so the first question we have comes from Amy. And Amy says her good friend has been struggling to conceive her first baby. She can't afford infertility treatments, but would like to, so she wants to start a GoFundMe page for her friend. She said, I was going to set it up and surprise her with it, but now I'm thinking I should ask her permission first, since it's such a personal situation. So what would you do? So first off, Amy, what a really thoughtful thing to do. That is very, very sweet and considerate. My first initial thought when I read your question was I would definitely ask her first. And that seems to be kind of the general consensus from most of you here. But I'll read through a few of your comments as well, just for you, Amy. Anybody else think about this? Danielle said she would definitely ask first. She said that's a very sensitive thing and it's very personal. I went through a 1.5 years of struggling to get pregnant, and I was very selective on who I told. Yep, good point there, Danielle. And Mary said, from someone who's been through infertility, yes, I think you need to ask her first. It may not be something that she's very open about with a lot of people. Yep, again. And Jack, and maybe Amy, maybe you know that she already has told a lot of people or not, but I would definitely check with her first. And then Jackie goes on to say what a special friend you are in helping her in this way, but you should definitely ask out of respect. And she said, I will also think of maybe using a different platform instead of GoFundMe. And I'd never thought about that. So Jackie mentioned maybe do Google crowdfunding. And she said, you'll find some others there that can be more effective for medical without the bad reputation that is evolving around the GoFundMe type accounts. So something to think about there. If you do proceed to go down that path, Amy, maybe there are other options, so maybe not GoFundMe. So look into some other options there as well. Lori said, ask first, respect her enough to ask her permission, and do it first because she may not want it out there for the world to see. And then lastly, Vanessa said, definitely ask. Not only is it highly personal, but you would also be putting her name all over the interweb to see. So good point. So overall, Amy, incredibly thoughtful idea to start a GoFundMe page or some sort of a donation page for your friend for her infertility treatment. But I feel like pretty much everybody sort of agrees that you're definitely going to want to run it by her first because she may not even, want it out there. And maybe she does. Maybe she's very open about it. Some people are, but some people aren't. So definitely check with her first and see what her feeling is about that. Or maybe she wants it with just a small group of people. So just kind of leave it up to her because that is such a personal decision. But anyways, thank you, Amy. That was a very thoughtful thing to do. That is a thoughtful thing to do. And thanks for your question. And Shannon has the next question, and she said, I was thinking of giving an allowance to my kids ages 7 and 9. They're both taking on more chores, and I thought it would be nice for them to have a little spending money this summer. How much do you give kids this age for an allowance? Thank you. Shannon, great question and very timely actually for me personally. I've been thinking about that with my son. He turned 7 in March, but he does not get an allowance, but I've been thinking about doing that. So I love that that you have this question, very timely, and a lot of you had some really good suggestions here. So I'll just read through a few of these. So Becky said, if they're doing extra chores, I'd probably give each chore a value and pay them based off of what they do. Danielle goes on to say, my kids get an allowance, but not for doing chores that's expected of them. I just do the allowance because they need a way to get money and learn how to save and manage money. That's what I was thinking of doing it too as well, Danielle. So I'm glad that we're on the same page. Then she said, my 8-year-old and 10-year-old get $5 a month, and my 6-year-old gets $3 a month. Not a big amount, but enough to help them learn to manage their money. Love that. Charlotte said, I believe children should be expected to do specific chores and not be paid. She said, I don't see anything wrong with the allowance of a few bucks a week. However, I do believe it's important to teach them how to save their allowance. She goes on to say, I did this, and if they were out and about and they wanted candy, soda, etc., that was what their allowance was for. She said her boys often pulled their money to buy video games with it. So I love that, Charlotte, because not only does it tell them that these kind of extra items that you may want, you have to pay for your own hard-earned money, but also because it taught them to kind of pull their money and save and wait for something that they really wanted and not just get the first thing they see at the store. So I love that also taught them how to be a little bit more patient with their spending too. Kayla said for that age, maybe $5 a week. I pay my 9-year-old 50 cents to $1 per chore that wasn't hers already. her room, her clothes, and her dishes are her responsibility. Anything else is paid. So I love that. So basically Kayla is using the allowance as more of an above and beyond. Basically, so like you have certain expectations as a child that you need to do, but if you go above and beyond those tasks, then you get paid for those. So I love that too. Cassie said she doesn't give her kids an allowance either. She doesn't give allowance. They both earn money doing chores that benefit the family. She said they don't get paid to do their own laundry, for example. So again, things that sort of go above and beyond what their expectations are. And then she said she does it to help counteract the entitlement mindset and teach them to save for what they want. Yep, and then Jackie said she personally doesn't believe in allowance. She said kids are part of the family, and as a family member, it's their responsibility to help. And I do believe, however, in rewarding them for extra and above the normal stuff. So I know growing up, we didn't get an allowance. We had certain things we had to do, and that was just what the expectation was. So definitely can understand that perspective. She said she does believe, though, if you do get an allowance, you should teach them about saving and giving. Beth said she gives her kids about $10 a month, and she said enough for some spending money. And Rachel said she's never done allowance, but we have bought things for our kids that they have to work to earn. So love those suggestions. So there's some options there for you, Shannon. Overall, it seems like a number of you like the suggestion of you can give an allowance for above and beyond tasks, but there's certain expectations that they have to do just for living in the house and being a member of the family. For instance, like I know with my son, it's his responsibility every day to make his bed. It may not look like how if my husband or I made it, but he has to make his bed every day. That's just an expectation for him. But if he does something above and beyond, like for instance, probably a month ago, he really helped me do all the hardwood floors in the house, sweep them, and then he was also spraying so that I could mop, and that really helped expedite the cleaning process. So for something like that, that was a chore. I mean, that took us probably, to do the house, it probably took us an hour and a half. So something like that, I have no problem giving a buck or two for, especially if, it motivates him and then he's learning how to manage that money too. So I love that. But like I say, for certain things like cleaning up his dishes after he eats or, keeping his toy room clean, which is something we're still struggling with, those are what he needs to do just for, being a little kid here. But anyway, but I love your suggestions. I hope that was helpful, Shannon, for you. If you guys have any other questions you want to see here on the freebie Finding Mom Facebook page, you can either send me an email, a direct message, or you can always leave a comment down below. As always, thank you guys so much for sharing your thoughts and insights on everybody's questions. We all benefit and learn that way, and I really appreciate it. And as always, if you will, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.